That's
All
right.
right, I've started the recording.
Yep.
Boy, it sure has been a long time. Sorry about that. Does anyone remember what's going on? I do, but I want to make sure everybody else is up to speed. Does anyone want to do a retelling, or do you guys need me to recap?
So I think one of the things I know we did was we went back to the primal worlds, and we found out that's when the task came to us and started talking to us about exactly where everyone went and how we found out and brought the thing to heal that one person after the assault on the Empire's keep was a failure. I know we gave him several things, and he took a dirty set with him as well, which
Yep.
Yeah.
He brought you some items, which should be on your inventory sheets.
And the theft also is like...
If they're not, then you were pickpocketed.
Extreme wands of destruction or whatever.
And the Dirt of Theft disappeared somewhere in the World's Tree, as the Ratatosk came back without it.
And then after that, we got all the stuff. The Tal said he would come back to tell us information because one of the people on Primal wanted to find out about a certain god. We tried to figure out ways of getting of saving the world by finding a weapon or some other ways we were going to do it. But we decided to start with a weapon, so we went to the forge. No, not the forge. The other thing that's not that
the armory,
where we encountered the faction leader and a strange beetle.
Yeah, her mount.
You got there on a wild water ride, and then yes, you encountered the beetle core and Factorus.
And we were about to head in when we ended the session.
Excellent. That is where we left off. The armory towers above you, a huge blocky building. Even the stairs leading up to it are gigantic. But I need to give you sort of a sense of the scale of how gigantic they are. They're so gigantic that near the base of the stairs, vendors are selling rides on flying carpets to reach the top, and the rides aren't cheap.
That's quite large.
Looking up you have the sense that you're looking up a mountain slope made of stairs. But at the top is this towering edifice, cracked marble and concrete, just, yeah, huge and intimidating. From the top of it, there is smoke rising. Something's 4G-ish is probably happening on the inside. But, yeah, right now, there is the constant hoofbeat of commerce. People are walking up the stairs. People are walking down the stairs. And with every step, the stairs are getting a little bit more worn down. The occasional pebble of concrete knocked loose from the stairs moorings just bounces down towards you. Ascending the stairs will be a tax. There will be a test to see how much of a tax. Or you can attempt to just purchase a flying carpet ride to the top.
I'm going to go in my bag. I'm going to, tie it to, someone in the party and just go in my bag and make potions.
Not only is he chaotic, he's lazy.
Wait, the name is Where's the Alchemist? That, and I'm in dire need of potions.
Who's going to hold the alchemist's bag?
Sorry, I got lost there. What's that? Depping? Is he still in the bag?
He stepped into the bag, yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with this at this point. I'll pick it up.
All right.
I know what he's doing, I guess. Start shaking it.
I don't think that does anything, but yeah, I mean, if you want.
But like feel like it is. It's for me more than it's for you.
It does rumble inside the bag a little bit. It's not enough to do any harm, but you can tell the bag is being shook. The enchanters that made it went for the cheaper inertial dampener spells, and so yeah, you get a little bit of shake.
Oh, I hope none of my fine glassware breaks. Oh.
Or maybe you do.
Yeah.
So how do you guys want to get up there?
So do we need to get to the top, or where do we need to go?
If you want to go into the armory, you'll need to get to the top of the stairs first. You can either try to walk it, take the test, and if you fail, suffer the tax, or you can try to pay for a flying carpet ride to get to the top.
Dropped.
Lots of people are taking the flying carpet option, but many more can't afford to and are walking. People near the top look exhausted. There are tiny little specks up there that are appear to be bending down, clutching their knees, gasping for breath. At the top, you also see the sort of almost insect-like buzzing of numerous flying carpets coming and going. Most of which are significantly larger than the small, single-serving carpets down here. They look like big freight-carrying devices, or large multi-passenger transits.
Okay, so the question is, do we have any money to pay? I don't think we do, because we haven't had much money in the past. And I still don't know what currency is out here.
You've heard words like stinger and green and jink.
You think some of them might have been slurs?
You have noticed that your not exactly native guide does double check who people are before paying for them in stingers.
It's all pretty straightforward, I say. I reach into my pocket and I pull out some coins. I show you a little copper coin. I say, this is a green. Greens are the smallest coin. Then I pull out a little silver coin and I say, these are stingers. These are the next unit up. It's best not to pay in stingers if you're paying to someone from the lowers. It stings. That's why it's called stingers. Then I pull out a small electrum coin. Say, these are baubles. Also, the next unit up. And then these are jinx. It's a little gold coin. I say next unit up, and then I fish around and I say I don't have any merts, but they're platinums. They're the top units. And those are the basic units of coin. Depending on who you're talking to, you might also pay in Taurus or Mobius. Lodestone are pretty useful depending on who you're talking to. Gems are always just generally good. And then in the upper, you usually pay in glitter glass or rainbows. I don't have any of those on me. Or bell coins in the Arcadia areas. A few other places have different types of coinage, so cogs and mechanus. There's something they use in Limbo. They call it chaos. I don't know what it is. I've never seen one. And then you can pay in pine coins if you're an arboreal.
It makes me imagine that you could make a killing just going from like one place that just throws cogs is like trash all over the floor, and then taking them to like Mechanus.
I mean, there's lots of cogs on the floor in Mechanus. Lovely place, Mechanus. We should go there someday. In the lowers, you have ivory bits, blood money, gray ice, steels, and soul prisms. Trading in soul prisms is, I mean, it's a basic currency, but it's looked down upon, shall we say, to carry those around with you in the upper planes. It's pretty straightforward. Not a lot going on. Pretty easy to get your head around, I think. Probably quite similar to what you use on your Prime world, you know.
I don't even know what we use there.
You're familiar with precious metals, copper, silver, gold. Electrum is just an alloy of silver and gold. In some cultures, it's viewed as a way of cutting gold, which makes it less valuable, whereas other cultures view it as a way of improving silver and making it more valuable. It's all sort of how you look at it.
Got it. So, seeing as how we don't have money, and you apparently do, if you're willing to pay for us to get to the top, that seems like an option. Or if we need to walk, we need to walk.
I'm happy to walk, or we can get a thing.
Also, do you walk?
Yes, I walk. I'm walking right now. It's not that strange.
There are a couple things you've seen that don't walk. There's these people, really tall people with crazy, like, flame blue hair that seem to just float.
What were the name of those people that do the mind bubble things?
That's them, the Daubus. They don't speak. Instead, they create symbols over their heads, which are a puzzle, and if you solve the puzzle, you know what they say.
I imagine that you encounter probably like random Naga that don't walk, and like flying insectoids that don't walk, all types of shit.
Yeah, and you see a beholder just straight up floating up the stairs right now. It has some kind of an interesting sort of device over its main eye. Those of you who are familiar with the planes probably recognize it as something that's inhibiting its anti-magic field, as it wants to be in polite society, and turning off everyone's magic is quite rude. It also has monocles on some, but not all, of its tentacle eye stalks.
I'll just begin walking up the stairs. It's only 100 feet or so.
Yeah, I'll follow.
I should say that I'm not really well liked here. Not me personally, but my faction. We don't tend to get along. I personally don't have too much trouble with these guys. They're misguided, but it doesn't really matter. I'm a namer, or not a namer, but just like what's it called? A factotum. I'm relatively low rank, so it doesn't really matter too much. They may or may not let me in. I should mention that if you have any baubles on you, those are the Electrum ones. They typically just count as silvers. There's no general exchange. We don't really do that here. And depending on who you're talking to, they just can't be bothered to determine how much gold.
All right, everyone who's walking up, this is a 5 tax, basically challenge. If you have anything that can help you in a roll, any successes you get will delete tax from this challenge. So suggestions might be athletics, labor, acrobatics. This is most likely a vigor roll, but it could be an agility roll, depending on how well you're taking the stairs. The footing is loose, and bits of stair break off as you walk. So watching your step is a constant challenge.
Yeah, that makes it sound more agility than vigor.
But the distance is also very, very long, so vigor would help you to just power through.
If you were one of those races that like just floated, would you have to worry about all that? You just
Nope,
float up.
you just float.
You need a grappling hook arrow, but that needs to be invented.
Belial is going to go over to one of the carpet riders to offer some fancy clothes as well as an offer of
He's an entrepreneur. He's willing to bargain. Go ahead and let's see. You're trying to trade fancy clothes for a ride?
Yeah, can you turn on Uther?
Working on it.
Once Uther is up and running, Tice, he'll take the clothes and trade, but if you make a trade plus empathy check, he might not take all of them. You might be able to just trade him some of the clothes.
Okay. And this is a hidden difficulty?
No, it's not. The clothes have a value of 2, and for every success, you'll reduce the number of tax that's taken off of it by 1. So, if you get 2 successes, you might just give him the shitty parts, and all the good clothes are still here. Whereas if you fail completely, the entirety of the clothes are gone. And if you only get 1 success, then the clothes quality is reduced by 1, but you still have some. That picture you posted of the Beholder, that's very good. example, although this particular one has an accountant's visor instead of a top hat.
Does the clothes still give me pips during the trade or not?
No. The clothes give you successes, which is why the trade is allowed to happen at all. To summarize, it's a difficulty of 2. The clothes give you 2 successes. So if you can get more successes, you don't need to use all of the successes from the clothes.
Okay. So I got 1 success.
Cool. So reduce the quality of the clothes by 1, and you've bought yourself a ride.
Would I be able to use the other point of clothes to give someone up, to like get him to come down and pick someone else up?
Yes.
And I'll do that.
Who are you going to have him pick up?
The primal, or the primer.
There's 2 of those. Primer?
Your character.
What do we call? We call primes?
Primes.
Primes.
We're like primer.
Most primes need a primer.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I meant. Is the other one? What's her name? Mara? Is she still here?
Yes, she is. She was going to go try and get a job at the Hall of Records, but she doesn't know how to get there yet. This is also her first day in the city, as well as you.
She may be more likely to need the ride than me.
She is not a very physical character. The level of physical exertion needed to get to the top may be more than she can handle. She doesn't explicitly need to go in with you, but yeah.
Yeah, she could be picked up because I'll just once I get up there, I'll just tell them to go down and pick up the prime from the group.
Okay, so Mara gets up there. So it's cool. Mara and Belial take flying carpets to the top. For the rest of the team, let me see here. Oh, we haven't done the rolls yet. Okay.
I got 2 successes.
All right, so you take 3 attacks to get to the top.
And how is this tax affecting us? Like,
You can narrate it how you wish. It's either exhaustion or tripping on things as things break on your way up. You may place the tax wherever you want. You might be frustrated at having stumbled or embarrassed. You might just be physically exhausted. You might have hurt yourself. What was your adventure getting up these crumbling stairs? These very, very tall, mountainous, crumbling stairs.
there'd be a ratio exhaustion-wise, 5 to 1, right?
If you're going to use endurance, then you're paying 5 to 1. But if you're using your health, you're not. Endurance is mostly there for when you rest. When you rest, it exchanges 1 to 1. But if you're going to burn it when you're not resting, it's 5 to 1.
All right. So I was actively getting up. I wasn't really like trying to sturdily do it. So I kept jumping, and every once in a while I'd jump and something would slip away and I'd slam my knee into the ground. But then I'd just continue and do that. So I took a few points of health.
All right. You get up to the top, sort of bruised, but still standing. And Ed, how do you get to the top?
I walk, and when I get to the top, I'm exhausted.
All right. Somehow, Riss is already at the top. The little girl with her beetle.
Lost you there.
She looks at the bruised knees, the exhaustion, and she smiles approvingly. Wearing yourself out. That's the right way. The beetle then lays down on its stomach, and she climbs up onto the back of what was once its shell. But the shell has all been stripped away, and instead, burned into the flesh of the beetle are various magic runes. She touches some of the runes, and the stone underneath the beetle starts turning to sand, and then they go over the side and begin sliding down the stairs like a sled. They disappear into the crowd below. For the planers, you recognize that the theme here is that they like things getting worn down. That's why they like the tall stairs. They like people wearing themselves out trying to get up it. And they don't mind all the flying carpet vendors, because then people start wearing out their resources, their assets. This is a place of entropy. And yet, at the same time, within are the sounds of creation. You hear hammer on steel. The crowd up here at the top is pretty big and pretty busy. The doors here are enormous, the kind of doors that dragons could comfortably saunter through. And going in and out of them are men pushing various carts. A very large flying carriage is hovering near the top of the stairs, where the guild symbol for the foundry, not the sign of one, the other one. Believers of the Source. The guild symbol for the Believers of the Source is on the side of this wagon, and they're offloading clean smelted ingots.
Well, the Believers of the is the last thing you said.
What was that?
Yeah, you keep cutting out your voice.
I think there's something wrong with my push-to-talk button. All right, so there is a flying carriage with the logo of the Believers of the Source on it. And this flying carriage is having ingots unloaded from it. Tice, this is your faction. They're delivering fresh smelted ingots from the foundry here to be turned into weapons. On the other side, a much more plain-looking sort of flying cart. You might think it would be the sort of thing that would hold like bales of hay, but instead inside it are soldiers bearing the mark of the Harmonium. They seem to be loading shields onto it. These shields are fresh, shiny, new, and do not yet have the Harmonium symbol emblazoned upon them. That's something the Harmonium does themselves when they get back to the barracks. It is renowned as a punishment for new recruits. The doors themselves have people filing in and out on various pieces of business, some taking things from the carts, some bringing things to carts. And within, there is just the noise. It's that great echoing mix you get in large buildings of 100 people's talking and conversations, all getting sort of swirled and mixed together until you can't tell what anyone is saying.
You cut out again. You got that large echoing mix, and then you cut out.
Okay, this is going to be a Discord thing because I'm not cutting out on OBS.
Is OBS on push talk?
Yes. I'm putting their windows side by side. So this is an annoying thing that Discord does, is that when I have OBS up, it goes into streamer mode, and it no longer shows me the green highlight that tells me my push-to-talk button is held down.
Yeah, you can turn off the streamer mode.
Yeah, I can. Since I am recording, I didn't want to have like people's names embedded in the recording.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what streaming mode was. That's actually.
It hides your Discord IDs.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, it's very, very useful.
You can't just take those out another way.
You mean go through all of the footage and edit them out by hand?
No. I meant just covering up the member list, but I guess you can't just, like in other things there's like collapse this piece, but I guess that's not here.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm showing is right now is the pictures, like your video feed, but like without stream mode on, if I mouse over them, it tells me who you are.
Nah.
I'm
That's
just
annoying.
I'm just preventing accidents. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, big room, lots of noise, all the people talking.
I'm able to emerge from the bag, and because it's like the new session, can I say that like my stuff is refilled? Because otherwise, I'm kind of crippled at the beginning.
No, you cannot. Nobody else is getting refills on their stuff.
Right,
You get refills by doing the work, putting in the effort.
What do I roll for being in there and doing?
If you're going to stay in there instead of just using it as an excuse to not have to climb stairs, then you can make a crafting roll to see if you can replenish it by 1.
Jeez, 1?
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'll stay in there for now and try to get more.
Alrighty. Stepping through the doorway, you are now in the main exhibition hall. Weapons are everywhere, and in every variety, and they are well organized. It does seem like there are some people being guided by other people and shown weapons. But the people who you would think of as like the clerks are generally dressed in elaborate armor and carrying wicked, twisted weaponry. They look more like mercenaries than salesmen. No money is actually exchanging hands here. It does look like they're just showing off what they've got. Swords of every variety, hammers and axes, shields and armor. But only one of each, and always in a display case, not available to be taken off the rack.
Yes. So Belial will walk over to one of the clerks covered in the fancy armor. Excuse me, I am looking for something in here.
Bet you are. All right, Cutter, what you looking to break?
We're currently looking to break an army of, what's the type of demon again?
Beata Zoo.
The Beata Zoo. For my comrades, for my current clients over here, we have a little Beata Zoo problem on their world, and they need a weapon to help to deal with that.
Well, we've got green steel right enough. How much do you need? We talking about a little demon problem or a big demon problem? Scale is important. Size matters. I mean, I could take you over to the siege engines department if that's the sort of thing we need, but there's going to be a credit check first.
I think it's like it's about 4 or 5 fully civilized cities of Beata Zoo that are currently trying to take over their world.
Cities of Beata Zoo? Which cities? Dis? Jangling Hitter? You say 4 or 5 cities, man. You're talking a lot of Beata Zoo. You better have some pretty precious coin for that. Tell you what, sounds like maybe you need to be talking to my manager. Let's come over into the buying offices. We'll have a little sit down and see what it is you have to offer.
Okay, and I will motion to the others to follow.
So he leads you through the exhibition hall, and out the back through a somewhat smaller set of doors, where you come into a kind of anteroom. Here there's people milling about, mostly looking at like paperwork or counting their coins. It's still a big room, not as big as the exhibition hall, but pretty big. And to the left are the buying offices. Rows of coin counters, all sort of looking around, doing their thing, talking to people, and then closed door areas. The guy walks over to somebody that looks absolutely to be his junior. A tiny person, looks like they're brand new on the job. And he says, "Marcuro, come here. These primes need some help with a purchase. I'm going on break." And then he walks off.
What was that last part? After we said all the hush doors and stuff?
It's the buying offices of the foundry, or the armory.
Okay, so he just kind of like led us to it and then left?
He led you to it, he found a subordinate. He told you he was going to go find the supervisor, but then he found somebody that's clearly his subordinate and just passed you guys off on him and walked off. This guy looks small, nervous, and like it's his first day. Those of you who are canny in the ways of business realize that this guy realized you guys are not a good sale, and he quickly just passed you off on somebody who doesn't know any better. As he doesn't want to waste his time if he's not going to get a good sale. They may not be as brutal as the takers in terms of their business acumen, but I mean, they're not running a charity over here. This is what feeds their guild. Their entire faction runs off the sale of weapons. So it's important that it, be successful. In any case, the small clerk is ready to listen to your request.
Let's see here. I am Belial. These are the clients that I've been tasked in to aid. As a member of the Forge, I am willing to cut some deals to be able to between our two guilds, since we have always had such a good working well together. as well as these the primes themselves have brought some, and or potentially can bring some items from the world that that can be broken down and potentially replicated here for different, unique weapon ideas.
The clerk stutters. Forgive me, sir, but we don't work well together. You silly people try to make things. Things are supposed to be unmade, broken. Now what are we breaking today?
We are breaking the hold of a Bialsu hold on a primer world.
Breaking a Biatazu. Got it. Green steel. You want green steel. Just for you four? He's trying to count out the number of people in your party.
Oh,
he doesn't see Max because Max is in the bag.
Yeah, I'll turn to the two primers and just like, how many men need green steel to fight against the Biatasu?
You guys keep saying green steel. Is that like this? And I point to the lance that's sitting on my back.
What is the lance that's sitting on your back?
You said it was a green steel lance, so I'm assuming that it's
then yes.
Yeah,
lance with a green steel head.
Yeah, because he pulled it out of the ground from the tree.
Yes, that is a Victorian green steel lance. Correct.
Okay.
I'm not exactly a fighter, as they might say, but I could take a sword, perhaps.
I mean, if we could, do we even have a way back? We used our one ticket back to that plane that we know of at the moment.
You know of a route, and you know the route is well guarded by powerful enemies.
Ideally, we would need a lot, and to get it back to them. Don't know how we would do such a thing.
I mean, there was those people making that giant chain spider that seemed like they wanted to do damage to the Biatazu also. It's too bad we can't get them a bunch of green steel and have them make a giant green steel spider.
Is that not something we could do? That was some other world than here.
Are you asking the clerk?
I'm asking them, because Max just mentioned it, so I'm asking him. Actually, he's not even here.
Well, he's in the bag. You can just open the bag.
I'm yelling from the bag.
Is he yelling from the bag? So maybe I should get that question to Tall.
I come up and say, "Sir, I am from the fraternity of
Order."
Yes.
Okay, you're my cutout too there. So I think Discord has a serious problem.
I am from the fraternity of Order. I am here guiding these folks in their endeavor. We intend to use the law, which I know you're not entirely fond of, though you're not fond of it, I think. In any case, we intend to use this sort of the law as well as your fine weapons to dismantle the bureaucracy of the Biatazu bureaucracy on a prime world and bring it into ruin. Whatever you think would be best in dismantling this edifice would be valuable to us.
Now you're talking his language. The idea of dismantling, there's a little sparkle in his eye. And so he says, how many Biatazu are we talking about?
As far as I can tell, all of them. Or at least a significant portion of them, such that all of them would be an apt description of how many of them there are. But again, it's a bureaucracy. You don't need to destroy a bureaucracy by destroying all of the clerks. You cut off the head, and everything falls apart.
He doesn't even flinch at the phrase all of them. He just makes a note in a little notepad and says, all right then, please come with me. And he leads you guys back out into the anteroom and then through yet another set of doors leading even deeper. Here it becomes a little difficult to keep track of what's going on, as he takes you into a hall and into another hall. The halls are not shaped in straight lines. They move at angles and curves. And then, suddenly, you're coming out of a door into a room bigger than any you've seen so far.
Totally cut out.
I cut out again. Damn it. How far did I get?
Here it gets a little bit more complicated.
You know what? I might just turn off push talk. You know what? Let me... How bad is it going to be if I turn off push talk?
Should be right.
Screaming kids and like animals in the background.
The only thing is I don't know is when his mic is activated if we go through it.
Yeah. Sometimes
I've noticed it.
Dave has sometimes been the ear of Sauron situation with the mic. All right.
Oh yeah.
Just use those headphones I gave you. They're really good. They're comfy. I guess if you don't like things on your head, then I guess they're not comfy. But as things on your head go, they're relatively comfortable.
Which ones did you give him?
The Logitech G whatevers.
The 930s, the first model?
The
like
9...
not these ones.
Yeah, like it's those, but wired.
Oh, okay. The G633s or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Test.
I'm wearing these. I think you wear these, right? The wire.
No, I have Steel Series.
Oh, you got something new.
Arctis Pro. That's badass.
You gave up on Logitech.
I have given up on Logitech entirely. Yes.
Every time I turn on my headphones now, I have to reset the dongle.
Can you hear?
I hear you.
Okay.
You're good.
Very good. All right. So, the clerk is unfazed by the concept of all of them. He instead makes a little note in his notebook and then says, "Gentlemen, please come with me." And he begins walking back out first into the anteroom and then through another set of doors deeper into the facility. And from here it becomes more difficult to keep track of where he's taking you. The corridors are not right angles, but are strange angles and curves. But when you emerge into an incredibly large room, not just in depth. For in depth it's about the same as the exhibition hall, but in height, this room is very, very tall and has openings at the top that look out upon Sigil's sky, which is really just the other half of Sigil upside down. Looking at the display here, you see a room filled with siege weaponry, catapults and ballista and other stranger things. Things that look like they're meant to fly, things that look like they're meant to float, things that look like they're meant to burrow through the ground. In this great and vast assortment, everything has a little plaque in front of it describing what it is, but nothing has a price listed. In this place, things need to be negotiated. But, as well any planer would know, part of the negotiation is the opportunity for destruction. And so standing here among some of the greatest and most ridiculous siege equipment of all time, he then turns around and says, "In the dismantling of the bureaucracy, will we need to smash buildings?"
I mean, such a thing would be very helpful, I think. I don't think we're going in specifically to smash buildings. But buildings are definitely a significant portion of the bureaucracy. And so, that would be a useful feature to be able to have.
Okay, we'll put that as a maybe. He takes a little note in his book. He begins walking down the aisle. He says, "Next, will we need to be able to kill large swaths of people?"
I mean, if by people you mean Beatazu, then yes. There are also some pretty nasty actual just regular primes out there. So I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna say yes for that.
Okay, solid yes for killing people. Excellent. Now, as relates to the Beatazu, what level of hierarchy do we need to be able to defeat? Obviously, you can't kill Beatazu; they just go back and are regrown. But defeat, remove from the field of battle.
Well, we encountered a number of Erniers. There's also a significant number of Spinagons in your general rabble. There were at least one, maybe two Pit Fiends.
So anti-air is going to be an important aspect of your military. That's a little note in his bag, or in his thing. And then he begins proceeding, weaving between the different arrays of weapons, until he comes to a quite lovely looking ballista that has no bolt nor a place for it. It says, this right here, this is the weapon of choice. Of course, the difficulty with this one is you're going to need to put it in place before the battle takes place. We have a variety of upgrade options available for it, of course. We can mount it on a variety of mobile devices. But the main expense will also come from ammunition. For while you'll need, I'm sure, a few of these around your fortification, or if you're attacking one, you'll maybe want to bring a couple at the back line. The ammunition is somewhat precious and hard to assemble. This fires bolts of holy energy containing essence of holy water and silver. And, well, you're going to need to find some of that.
This is all very, very good. And I am glad that we have come to you because you are certainly an expert in these matters. I feel as if this might be drifting a little bit out of our price range. Do you have a credit option? Maybe financing?
Yeah, let's go back to the purchasing offices and let's talk about what sort of options you have for paying for this service. Of course, our services do come with operational instructions, training, and, if necessary, assistance, provided that we don't have to set foot on a prime world. Naturally, we'd love to, but, there's legal problems with that right now. I'm sure you're aware.
Of course. I might say that there is some suspicion that the Beatazu occupying this prime world are violating a legal statute. So, if that's the case,
well, if that's the case,
I know that our factions don't normally get along, but I mean, I could go talk to some people and see if I might be able to get a waiver to allow your types, let's say, a contract to help sort out the situation.
Wow, that would be quite a feather in my cap. Thank you.
I mean, worst case scenario, you get to storm into a prime world with the legal backing of the Fraternity of Order and crack a bunch of skulls, maybe leave the entire prime world smoldering. It doesn't really matter to me. The main thing we want to do is get the Beatazu off. No one's explicitly told me that we're supposed to leave the world in any sort of functional state afterwards. It's mostly getting the demons.
His eyes sort of glaze over with dreams of tromping through a prime world, smashing things willy-nilly.
So not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, throwing the baby and the bathwater and the tub in lava.
He turns and there's a gasp, and you can feel it. His gasp of air is like a rush of wind passing through, and Riss is leaning up against a siege weapon. The beetle's nowhere to be seen, but she's looking keenly in your direction. I can always sense when things are about to go wrong.
Oh, I can absolutely assure you, things went wrong a long time ago.
And they're about to go worse, and it's fantastic. It will be a bit of a challenge, though. You may not succeed at the legal battle. You may need to take this to the Hall of Speakers. Still, you have valid points, and you go with this understanding. If you can get my Doomguard permission to enter this Prime World, I promise the Beata Zoo will wish you had not.
I fully believe you, scary lady.
Shall we make an accord of this?
She caresses one of the siege engines lovingly and then trots out of the room. The startled clerk says, my factual has spoken. I'll prepare the necessary paperwork while I suppose you get permission from the courts.
Well, this will be interesting.
Just as they've continued like their discussion or whatever, what role do I have now for? Is it like a possible like couple of potions instead of one or something?
Yeah. So let's see. It's a
Basically, I have 5 taxes I'm trying to get rid of.
right. Okay. So yeah, your initial difficulty is 5, but but your successes are cumulative. So if you don't reach 5 on this roll, then you can keep working and make another roll.
I mean, I've been in there, so I guess I can use focus and shit. What do I use to make these things? Is it crafting?
Yeah, focus plus crafting would do it.
I have a talent in alchemy, so what? The T5? I don't know how I did that wrong.
That looks right to me. Did Uther go to sleep? Uther went to sleep. Sleepy Uther.
We know when he's up.
I think you can actually look in the mirror list, and it'll tell you.
All right, I think he's up again.
Oh yeah,
I
he'll come
turned
up as
on-
a bot on the member list on the Cabal. He'll be at
Yeah,
the
and
top.
I turned on amphetamine, so he'll stay on for until I tell him to stop.
That's not too bad.
Hey, there you go.
Amphetamine's a great app. It's a good app. Keeps your computer awake.
So, what is that? 3 6. I get 3.
3 points of progress towards your first potion being back together.
It's pretty good. I used to have caffeine on my computer, and then they deprecated caffeine, so I couldn't use it anymore. And I asked them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I use meth now."
Yeah. Amphetamine's good. I switched to amphetamine after caffeine died.
So this isn't 3 potions. This is 3 successes to the 5 that I need for 1 potion.
For the first potion, yeah. And then it'll need 4 more after that for the next potion, and then 3, and then 2, and that's easy. Having potions makes it easier to make more potions.
All right. So, I know that they're going to the courts and, to discuss all the demony stuff. And I look to Kite's character, and I'm like, I'm going to hop back in the bag. If you do me a favor and then go out to the outside where the top of the stairs are and throw it in the wind, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to go to my faction headquarters.
You just want me to throw the bag?
Yes, particularly in a wind that is like, traveling. I mean, it wouldn't matter, but I mean, distances will probably help.
Okay. I'll do that when we head out.
Coming back out onto the front steps. Yeah, I mean, you can just chuck that bag over the side.
I do as instructed, and I kind of like put a finger up and just try to feel, like lick my finger and try to feel where the wind's going. I don't know if I feel wind. I don't know if that's a thing.
There's,
And then yeah,
there's wind. You chuck it, and then
I'll give it a fastball.
You chuck it as hard as you can, and then a flying carpet crashes into it. The guy shouts and curses at you and flies away. The bag is gone.
Perfect.
Yeah. See, it wasn't being lazy. That bag is my mode of transportation.
Wherever the wind and angry cab drivers may take you.
Yep.
All right. For the rest of you, there are cab rides from here to other faction headquarters. They're expensive because these are generally what the high-ranking, like the factors and the factals, use for transit on official business. These are not the raggedy, threadbare carpets that you see people riding around. These are very often not carpets at all, but like fully enchanted, like traveling carts, carriages that are, yeah, quite luxurious, quite expensive, and always at the ready, because you never know when a truly important client will have a sudden need to travel. Or you can try to find your own way. The sewers worked last time.
I will not enter the sewers again, and we will not speak about it.
You don't even like have the chaos guy around either to help you with that.
Okay, so what's our destination? I missed that.
Ideally, you want to go to the courts.
Okay, and so we turn to Tall and say, what is that an area you're familiar with, right?
I'm very familiar with the courts. I live there. That's my home.
Okay. Would you know the fastest way to travel there? Most efficient, maybe is more.
Do I know of a portal that'll take us over there?
Make a connections check. See what you know.
I know nothing.
Yep, you do not know of a portal from here to there. Almost certainly you could pay a tout to find a portal for you. You could walk. You know the way by walking. It would take, let me get the map up, some number of days. Sigil is a big place, but it is not insurmountable. Let's get this. Could have sworn I had a better version of this map. Okay. So you're right at the border between the ladies' ward and the lower ward, and you want to get to.
Real quick.
Oh no, you want to be in the ladies' ward. Yeah, actually, you're not too far. Less than a day's journey, actually. Wow, how fortunate. It turns out you're actually quite close. Yeah, so you could spend about looks like about like 6 hours walking and get there.
That's not bad.
And it's through the ladies' ward, which isn't the worst part of town.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to walk. I like walking.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. And you know the way, so if you could direct us.
Okay, we will be walking to the ladies' ward. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump, and a little, quite a walk actually. But we'll get.
Yeah, especially since I wouldn't want to hop and skip on these stairs.
All right. After a few hours, you guys are starting to get a little hungry. There are a variety of cafes. You've been to one of them nearby. If you proceed without eating, there may be penalties. However, if you stop and eat, you'll have an opportunity to restore some tax.
Yes, we'll stop at a nice little inn on the way over. Have some food and relax for a little bit, and then continue on the way. I think that's a good. What are we passing through? We're just passing into the ladies' ward, basically.
Yeah, you're passing through the ladies' ward. You were at the edge of the ladies' ward, which is where the armory is. It's right between the ladies' ward and the lower ward.
Okay, well, I
and you're
know all
just going
sorts of things.
into the heart of the ladies' ward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of good places to eat around here.
We want to go to a good place, but not too good of a place because we're not made of money.
Okay.
And it is the ladies' ward.
Yeah. There's a place where some paralegals like to hang out. There's some places where a lot of the students who are studying law go to just because they're lower end, and so you find yourselves in a. It's not a bad. There are no bad establishments in the ladies' ward. It's fairly nice, just not super nice. Someone will need to pay for the meal. You only really need one success here to pay for the meal. So that can be an item, or somebody can try some negotiation. Somebody can also make a resource check. Maybe a little bit of labor in the kitchen can get you a meal.
I search through my pockets and find them wanting.
Didn't you just recently get paid for a big job?
Probably. I mean, I could pay it out, but my resources is still one. So.
Mm.
And I've also paid a significant amount of money. I don't have any equipment listed for payment, but I did spend a significant amount of money getting them through the getting touts and stuff to get them to the bazaar.
Yeah, I could have sworn that the artist gave you a bag of gold that had a
that's
value
probably
to it.
true. You want to give a quality for that?
I'm going off memory here. I think it was like Well, it was sort of like quantity 10, not really quality. It's just gold, but something like that.
Okay, and it's got value property.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, yeah, I'll just burn. I don't know, 2 of it or 1 of it. You just need 1.
You just need 1. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I paid for it.
Okay. Everyone, you can recover 4 tax and treat this as a point of rest. Meanwhile, Max, you climb out of the sack to see what the smell is and find yourself in a dumpster. You appear to be somewhere in the lower ward. Truth is, being in the dumpster was probably the best place for you, as it made it less likely somebody would try to steal you and or stab you.
Wait, was that directed at me? I had to go.
Yes.
Okay, I need to recap. I heard I was going to get stabbed or something.
Oh, no, you're in a dumpster, which is a very safe place to be in the lower ward, as people don't often stab people who are in dumpsters.
Oh, good. Can I tell how far away I am from my faction?
Well, given what your faction is, you're never far, but at the same time, if you really want to go into the hive where things are crazy, you'll need to push a little further into the lower ward.
Okay, I'll do that then.
Okay. Weaving through the streets after a couple hours, the smog overhead darkens to the point where you can't see the city that is the rest of the sky. Everything is getting very dim and dark, and the few people that you do glimpse out of alleyways are doing their best to look like they're not looking at you and hide their weapons.
Oh, spectacular.
Wandering randomly through alleyways, half the people are afraid you're trying to stab them and rob them, and the other half are eyeing you up to see if you're worth stabbing and robbing. It's the hive. You can't pass the occasional corpse that hasn't been cleaned up yet, although it's been cleaned out, that's for certain. You also pass the occasional drug addicts just lying in the streets. The few that are there, the ones that people are afraid, might still have some of whatever that drug is in them and might be frantic and wild. And then you enter an alleyway with bright colors. Someone has painted a lovely scene of a garden on the bricks of a wall. So well painted that the paint itself seems to glow with light. And you can almost see the trees rustling, swaying in the breeze.
This doesn't make any sense. I'm probably where I want to be.
You see a park bench and sit down.
Oh, Lord.
There's somebody else now sitting on the bench with you, admiring the rolling fields. You no longer seem to be in the city. You're sitting in a park somewhere, looking at flowers and trees and rolling grass. There's a pond. A fish jumps out of the pond, pausing in midair to say hello and tip its hat to you.
That's pretty drug trippy. I might have walked into somebody's haze or something and inhaled too much.
It is highly likely.
Can I tell if I'm within my faction place?
Kind of. I mean, whoever this is on the bench with you is probably also a Chaos Attack, or why else would they be here?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to use my faction and try to get information for somebody who is I'm essentially looking for an imp or an elf or something that basically whose nature is basically infatuated with creating chaotic products.
Okay. Make your roll. I like this.
Yeah, users asleep. Oh no, I did the wrong thing. There we go. 3 successes.
Okay.
I'm pretty deep in my faction.
Yeah, you are. It takes you a little bit to get your head in the right space to decode his words, because he's talking out of order. But when you arrange them in the right order, it's an address. There is a... it might be an elf. It's definitely a wizard. But dealing with something called wild magic. The address is in the Beastlands. Which is interesting, because that's not normally known to be a supremely chaotic place.
Is that like another plane, or is
It is.
that...
It's another plane,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Ah.
Apparently, whoever this guy is, he's an expert.
Awesome. I kind of, I don't know if I even wear a hat. Pretend to tip my non-existent hat to my brethren, and then find like the nearest wagon or whatever to throw my bag onto and jump into.
All right, you managed to make your way out of the painting. And,
Actually, if I'm in the lower ward and I'm with like a bunch of like great chaotic people or whatever, I
you
just like I
you
walk
went
out
past
into
the
middle
lower
of-
ward into the hive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just like instead of trying to use like a wagon because that's probably not going to be like the most efficient. I'm just gonna like randomly walk toward like a street and be like, "Oh no, I dropped my bag," and then like get in the bag and let it fall to like the floor.
You're pretty sure you hear the sound of a knife fight as people fight over the bag that has you in it. You're not clear who won, but it's probable that everyone lost.
So if I pop out of the bag, it's just corpses. It's like, oh, okay, well.
All right. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant, the little cafe, you guys have had your food, and yeah, things are looking up. Do you guys all process your recovery?
Yep.
Thumbs up. Good. All right. It's a pretty good meal. Nice to eat.
How much do we get tax recovery?
4.
Hmm.
And also, you have an opportunity to shift shift tax into your endurance if you need to, at the 1-to-1 ratio of arrest.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm once again calm.
Excellent. All right, the courthouse is right nearby. If you guys want to head over to it.
Indeed, since we have several things to do at the courthouse.
Tal probably knows his way around the best.
Well, when we get to the courts, I will take them into the main hall and go find a clerk and say I want to sit down for a conversation about a legal conversation. It's not really up to them to make decisions. We'll have to go through the Mercy Killers to actually have a decision made about this, I guess.
approaching the court, you see somebody that you recognize, a lawyer of some repute, who also recognizes you.
I say hello.
We've heard the buzz today. Heard that you had a run-in with the lower planes.
Indeed, I was on a job, doing the standard security check kind of job, you know, penetration testing for one of our clients. That was relatively successful, so found a way in through a back door through Jangling Hitter. Went through a Prime World, and there's some interesting stuff going on in the Prime World. I'm actually hoping to talk to someone here about the legality of Beatazu invasion in the Prime. I know Primes are generally off limits at the moment.
Indeed, and there's a lot of people who want to talk to you. Apparently, a delegation from DIS has arrived to issue a formal apology to you.
Well, that is good.
They're trying to argue that their position there is justified and that they acted in your best interest to keep you safe from Tanari. It's been a fascinating day.
I'm alive, so there is that. I'm going to dispute the best interest thing. Potentially some of them acted in my best interest, but definitely not the pit lord that tried to disintegrate it.
Well, that's what we've been missing all along, is a witness with some context to the situation.
I bring with me a couple of primes as well, which can also testify as to the actions on the world. It seems the blood wars just spilled over onto it. And it's not as if... I mean, it looks like a war of... the Tanari, they do what they want. We can pass laws against them. It just doesn't really matter. But the Beatazu, I mean, they're going to definitely spin this as they're attempting to defend the Prime World from the Tanari, but it really looks like an occupation force.
Are you ready to have your mind blown? The Tanari sent a lawyer to represent them.
Which lawyer?
Never met her before. Some kind of succubus that they sent up here with an attaché, and she's got a zombie as her paralegal.
Well, at least it's not an eye.
Oh, yeah. Thank all the gods for that.
As someone that used to work for the Beatazu, I also have my testimony against them.
Well, we'll be happy to enter our testimony. I've only been in the faction for just a few months, so could you direct us to where we should go for delivering our?
Of course. I think probably the best thing to do is for you to speak in private with the head governor on the case. So the adjudicator who's going to be actually hearing the testimony in the courts. I think it'd be a good idea to make very certain that your position is protected, and if you need your own legal representation, that you acquire it before presenting yourself, because I've never seen the Tanari try and make a presence in the courts, and the Beatazu are always looking out for some special interest. So they're no doubt going to go after you for something. But yeah.
Very well. So I'll speak here, and then I'll put in my guys will put in our testimony, and then I'll go find myself legal representation.
Very good.
And then I look back at everyone else and say, so we're going to give our testimony here, guys, and then we're going to go over to the Hall of Records and find a Fated to represent.
He kind of holds up his hand and says, you may want to find the Fated first. I'm just saying this for your own benefit. If you put into record testimony that potentially incriminates you, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong, I'm sure you adhered to procedure flawlessly, but you were on a Prime World when shit was going bad. So,
very well.
That's just my advice to you, some free advice. I would totally offer my own services expensive though they are, except that I am already being called by the prosecution to help them out. So I have a conflict of interest in this case. I just glad
Understood.
you're here, and I'm excited to see how things go.
I turn back to the rest of the group and I say, we have a problem.
And what's that?
We are going to be witnesses and potentially liable in a relatively bizarre trial. There will be a Tanari there, a Tanari lawyer. The Beatazu have some of the most insidious lawyers in the Plains. And of course, we have my own faction has their own prosecution. I'm pretty sure I'm blameless in all this, and by pretty sure, I mean I have extensive documentation about everything that I did, so I'm absolutely sure that I'm blameless in all of this. But they can. The Tanari is a wild card, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys because I'm not really good at making decisions. So basically, here's what we have: we can either get someone from the courts, one of my faction, to represent us. They tend to be extremely verbose. They know the law backwards and forwards and are excellent lawyers, but they tend to make everyone go to sleep and are more concerned about the nitty gritty of the law than they are about anything, literally anything else. That's the easy option. The harder option is we go talk to the Fated. They are vicious, brutal lawyers, and they will defend us as long as we're innocent, or there's something to be gained from it, or especially if we're owed something. They will defend us tooth and nail, and they're extraordinarily difficult to deal with. The third option is the least, it's the least palatable option, and that is we go see if Sly Nye has time to represent. Nye is one of the most high-power lawyers in Sigil. He's a Chaos Attack. If that makes no sense to you, then you're not alone. He doesn't lose cases so much as he loses his briefcase, and then wins the cases.
As you say the phrase "loses his briefcase," a person being dragged into the courts by the Mercy Killers drops a backpack next to you guys. He keeps saying to the I'm sorry, not Mercy Killer, the Harmonium. He keeps saying to the Harmonium, "Hey, that's my pack! I dropped my pack!" But they just ignore him and drag him away. And then Max crawls out of the pack.
Is that me?
He says, so Nye is probably our best defense. He's the defense he's the scorched earth defense, really, if you just want things taken care of. It's not clear how he wins cases, even to him or the judge, but he does do a generally good job. He can be extraordinarily expensive or not. It does just generally, it is generally random. We'll need to get some bananas.
Wouldn't I know about him being deep in the faction?
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I can try to find him if you want.
I mean, he's probably around somewhere nearby. He always is. In like the bar across the street, he might be in a bush outside. It varies.
What race is he again?
Nye is that's a good question. I think he's a Gith.
Is that a demon of some sort?
No, it's astral. Gith Yankee.
Because hey, a demon of some sort. You could say the whole speak of the devil applies to him.
Oh, he's a tiefling. He's a Chaos Tech tiefling.
Yeah, if we find him, I can try my faction standing with him and see if that does anything. It might not. It might. I don't know. Sounds like we kind of need him though, because if y'all were having the discussion as I like randomly showed up, it sounds like we've already kind of got cards stacked against us.
You do. The option of getting somebody from the Hall of Records, that particular faction is less concerned about what's right or what's true, and is more concerned about winning. They win. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You pay them, and then they win, and they take their cut. If you get a lawyer from like the actual Hall of Justice, those guys are more interested in making sure the law is properly executed. Not necessarily that good people will get good results, but just that the nitty-gritty of the law is absolutely upheld to a T. They're experts in procedure. They don't make slip-ups in procedure, but yeah, if a minor slip-up in procedure would give you an advantage, they won't take that advantage.
But they'll crucify your opponent for it.
Yes. Whereas the nickname for the I keep failing on people's official names.
The Fated?
Yeah, the nickname for the Fated is Takers. If there's an opportunity, they will take it. And then Sly Nye is sort of the nuclear option. You have no idea. You don't know what the result's going to be. Sly Nye doesn't know what the result's going to be. If you can manage his payment, then he will cause an outcome to occur.
I'm down with that option, but other people can weigh in if they want.
So the only way and I have is, no offense to our companion here, but the chaos people you keep talking about hasn't been the most reliable encounter, and we did have an objective to get to the Hall of Records at some point. So
no, it's completely fine. I mean, they just have a result. That's the only thing that they're reliable in, and there have been results of some nature using chaos. But no, we don't have to.
If we're going to be going up against a Tanari lawyer, I don't know what to expect. I don't think anyone does, including the Tanari lawyer. So I wouldn't normally pull Nye out as the nuclear option, but in this particular case, the Tanari lawyer scares me more than the Beatisu. A competent Fated is more than apt for dealing with. I mean, we did nothing wrong. Your world was destroyed. Your world was invaded. Your people were killed. You were caught up in the middle of stuff. There might be some debate about whether or not you deserve some kind of compensation for that. The Fated will definitely say that the loss of your world makes you deserve solid compensation, and they are 100% serious about people getting what they deserve. That's their entire philosophy. Maybe we should assemble a legal team. I mean, if we go get a high-powered Fated lawyer and tell him that Nye's on his team, he's going to be not very pleased.
Yeah. I know there's some documents I need to get from the Hall records to help with it. Well, at least my part of the case.
Well, maybe we go over there and talk to them first. Our Chaos Detect friend can go look for Nye and see if his fees are in the banana range or in the ship made of gold range, and see if we have some sort of see what our options are.
Yeah, I can try to find him.
Alrighty.
You have bananas on you?
I do not. Alas.
It's never been clear if the bananas are literal or a metaphor for everything going bananas. Everyone just brings him literal bananas just in case.
Occasionally he takes gold coins or small rocks instead of bananas. He doesn't like some rocks. It's never been clear to anyone exactly what the quality of the rocks that he likes is, as opposed to the rocks that he doesn't. But you're a chaos tech. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, Max, make a faction check to see if you have any idea where to find Sly Eye. I'm always excited to see the results of your die rolls.
Yeah, they're pretty good tonight.
Last you heard, he was actually at the Hall of Records. Something to do with paintings. He was looking for a painting.
He's here.
No, not here. The Hall of Records. You guys are at the courts right now.
So we're all going to the same
All right,
place.
let's head over to the Hall of Records. I'm sure there's a portal in the courts that links directly to the Hall of Records. I probably know.
It's well known. There's a line. There's competing vendors that are undercutting each other, selling the keys. So it's basically an effortless trip.
Okay. We'll do that.
The key is a scrap of paper with a number written on it. Well, a lot of the vendors are claiming that the numbers they have on their scraps of paper are superior numbers with a better chance of a safer and more prosperous trip. The truth that everybody in the entire line knows is that it's irrelevant what the numbers are. The key is a scrap of paper with some numbers on it. The paper is disintegrated in the process, but you get through the portal and are confronted with more lines. People waiting in lines. So many lines.
What am I now?
You're just jumping around the city, so you're still... What were you?
Was I still the Howler? Or was I
You know what, just roll it again. Why not?
Okay. Was it 1 to 18? Nine. I'm a Beastlands hunter, which is appropriate. Because I just learned about I need to go to the Beastlands. I don't even know what a Beastland hunter is. Like, and race-wise, like, what would that be?
It's starting to get sort of... you're starting to get a sort of numb to just how big everything is as you walk around. Your experience as a first-time visitor to the plains, at first everything was gigantic. And now the giganticness is finally just starting to get normal. The fact that the building is huge and towering doesn't intimidate you. The fact that there's literally tens of thousands of people all queued up in various lines to visit various desks doesn't intimidate you. It's the darkness in the depths of the bookshelves, the endless lines of stacks of paper. There's a darkness behind it all, implying a depth, implying that though from the outside you can see the building contains a confined space, that space is so huge that from inside it appears infinite. It even appears to have suction. Like if it pulls you in, you'll never get out of the Hall of Records again.
You're telling me it's bigger on the inside?
It doesn't just look bigger on the inside. It looks like the size of a universe on the inside. This goes way beyond a TARDIS.
is quite large.
Yeah. And it's quite maze-like. And here the guides and here the clerks are vicious about their payment. Often they won't talk to you until you pay them. But something is very different when you guys arrive. It's almost like you're expected. There is a clerk who is just folding some coins into a pouch and putting them away as you arrive. And he greets you with all of the courtesy of someone who's already been paid for his services. He takes you guys inside. Max, you have an opportunity to slip out if you want to just wander the halls randomly.
Yes, I want to do that.
All right. So, traveling inside, you're glad to have a guide. You could easily get lost in here. And it almost seems like this might be a trick, like they're going to trap you inside and then make you pay to get out again. When suddenly you find a door between two bookshelves opening, and inside is a cozy little office. A warm fireplace, a soft yellow glow to the whole affair. A man sitting behind a desk gets up, warmly, congenially. He's a bit stout, but he offers you all glasses of wine, has lovely couches for you to sit on with a table between, so that when he sits down it's less like an office setting and more like a group of friends gathered in a room just to sit down and have a little chat. So, I've heard you got yourselves in what might be, or might not be, allegedly a spot of trouble. As soon as the door closes and the clerk leaving the room, he lets out a hearty laugh and says, "Trouble is the right kind of thing to be in. Trouble is an opportunity. Don't be shy, my friends. I'm on retainer to represent you."
I say, well, I am, you can call me Tal. I'm Tal Al-Sabil. I'm a newcomer to the city, relatively. I was on a job when I got embroiled into this mess. I've done nothing untoward. Effectively, I was doing a penetration test for a artist in Sigil, attempting to break into their vault, legally, of course. I did so. The process took me through Jangling Hitter and to a prime world to get me into Jangling Hitter.
I'd like everybody to make perception checks.
Okay.
I'm assuming not me.
No, not you. That's right. You're somewhere else. But everybody else should
Didn't fail.
lay down some perception plus investigation.
Oh, plus investigation?
Yeah, or empathy plus investigation.
All right, so I got a total of 3.
Okay. This guy just said that he's already been paid, and you don't know who paid him.
That's okay. I'm happy that he's been paid because I don't have any money. So I'm also 100% certain that I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay it out there, and then I'm going to ask him. So I tell him what I did. I say that I was detained by the Beatazu and that they threatened my life. I do actually go into detail about the Beatazu that did put me in a cage and I guess somewhat defended me from the humans that were there, right? So it's like so they treated me reasonably once they found out who I was, but they wouldn't let me leave. And kept me imprisoned, basically, and then eventually let me. They had no intention of letting me go. We escaped, and there was much violence. And I'm lucky that I'm here today. These are my prime associates. They were there, and their planet is actually the one that was they were most affected by this. And I'll have them give their testimony. But before I do, you are on retainer. Who has you on retainer? Who can I thank for this service?
Why, those who sought to protect you, of course.
The Beatazu.
Yes. For they also
Well, this
believe
is
that you've done nothing wrong and want to make sure that you are properly represented in this matter.
I have absolutely done nothing wrong, and I am happy that they would properly represent me. I'm not sure that they would be the best representatives of my prime associates, however.
It's true, there may seem to be, at first, some conflict of interest. And that, I think, is something for the courts to decide.
We were considering getting different representation for the primes. They have had... you are a taker. You understand this. Whoever it is that you represent and whoever's paying your fees. Something was taken from them. They are owed compensation, and we intend to get that compensation. It's also a very tricky legal matter with regards to the Beatazu occupying this prime world, and it was indeed an occupation.
Yes, indeed. For I am Belial. I was one of the ones that worked with the Beatazu, and I'd been in one of the cities as sort of a temporary what did I call it again, a desk job, where I went to a meeting with all the officials of the prime world, and when the officials from that were conjoining with the Beatazu, they had left basically a ticking time bomb, attempting to murder every single leader of the world, so that to leave it in a bit of a chaos, so they could easily sweep up and take all their cities. So that they also broke their contract with me for being for my job.
There's a slight twitching from his left hand. You're pretty sure he's taking notes as you talk, but in a very sort of secretive, hidden way, where you can't see his hand clearly. Meanwhile, you find yourself in a section of the Hall of Records containing little drawers that slide out of the walls that have pictures on them. Paintings. Lots of them. Most of them are not very good. Most of them also appear to be pieces of landscape. It looks like this is records of locations that were surveyed. There's lots of little numbers written on them. And a Tanari, looking quite frazzled, is staring at one of them.
I'm assuming that's to me.
Hmm?
I'm assuming that's me.
No.
Oh, okay.
You are there, but the Tanari is not you.
No, I was saying like that you're talking about me.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. You're.
I just asked him what seems to be the trouble.
Oh, no trouble. This is the one. I found it. This is the one I want. He turns the picture around for you to see it. It's a mountain.
Okay.
Written at the bottom are coordinates as to how to find it. It's the mountain is in the Outlands. This mountain. This is the one I want.
You're going to acquire a mountain.
Me? No. This will be your payment for my services. I have a little plot of land. I'd like you to put the mountain there.
This is the guy, I take it?
No one else could make such a request. With a straight face.
I didn't think he was a Tanari, though. I thought Ed said he was like a
Tiefling, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's a tiefling.
Oh, that's what got me. I was like, why did I find a demon?
Mm.
I tell him, well, I might not have the ability as of right now to move entire mountains, though I am looking into that. I might have something that could help you get the mountain there, or might even be cooler than getting it the mountain where you want it to be.
Listening, am I?
So, I invite him into my bag. I'm like, come into my bag.
He's happily dives into the bag.
I mean, as you should be. And then I show him my giant crystal prism thing. Like, surely no one has offered this to you ever.
3 of the angles are wrong. I'll take the 4th.
The 4th angle?
The 4th angle of the prism. Just take it out and leave the others there.
Are you sure? I'll throw in the other ones for free.
No. They would ruin the whole thing. He's asking you to take a 2-dimensional piece out of a 3-dimensional object. He wants the abstract mathematical concept that is the angle that defines one of the facets of the crystal without any of the other facets because they're bad.
Not quite sure how to do that. Or even how one would go about thinking about doing that. I don't know. What the hell would you even roll to attempt to do that? Just okay. The only thing I can think that applies is faction, the chaos attack thing.
Yeah, but you're not sure you can roll high enough to disassemble abstract concepts and present them to a person as a payment.
Well, how about I offer you the entire thing, but since you'll have the unfortunate task of removing the abstract idea from this 3-dimensional object, we also consider the amount of chaos that you will sow in joining this faction. My brethren are seeking the help of, I'm assuming I know that they're in that Hall of Records to get somebody from that faction. It's like, so you'll be teamed up with one of them, and not only that, but you'll be going up against like Biadazu that are now like going to trial. This will be a very chaotic trial indeed.
Tell him he'll be going up against Tanari.
Yeah, you're against Tanari.
At that, he raises an eyebrow. He says, see, I know you're not a neighbor, but you're close. Chaos isn't something that we do because we want there to be more chaos. Chaos is something that is real. It's part of the world. It's part of the universe. It's the truth of the matter, is that it's already chaotic. He scratches his head and goes, and Tanari are very chaotic. All right, I accept your deal, but I'm only offering partial service. I will rescue your friends from the very obvious trap that they have foolishly stumbled into.
I'm having trouble connecting the dots as to where his service will stop. So he'll get us out of the trap, but he won't do anything with the case.
Does Sly Eye's service ever stop?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's fine. I only just ever expected for you to just be there and do your thing, so results are whatever they are.
The boulder rolling down the mountain only stops when it reaches the bottom of the mountain. There is no bottom to the mountain, that is law.
Nice.
All right. So the doors of the study burst open, and there's a group of 3 well-dressed lawyers and 1 very poorly dressed lawyer who suddenly barge in on you guys. Max is in the background, sort of peering over their shoulders. The taker, lawyer who is trying to get your information, is very taken aback. Demands to know what they're doing. And when he tries to talk, it just sounds like a chicken is clucking. Sinai then asks if there's any objection to them providing alternative options to the client. The man clucks like a chicken, a little bit more, looks extremely frustrated and red in the face. And then 3 other lawyers all offer their services in exchange for compensation as a percentage of what you're awarded. It seems that Sinai has assembled a team.
Yeah.
I think that's fair compensation. Or a portion.
The team consists of 3 lawyers. One of them is Fraternity of Order, one of them is Fated, and one of them is a Dustman.
Interesting.
And one of them is clucking like a chicken.
Well, yes, there is a very upset lawyer clucking like a chicken. Now, the choices are yours. Potentially, this Beatazu paid attorney might get you a full amount. He is Fraternity of Order. So you don't have to go with Sinai here. But Max has created this alternate option that you can share and it looks like with 4 people on the legal team, from 4 different factions, it looks like you're going to be sharing a lot of it. So you might not get as much money out of the settlement with this team. But this team is not hired by the people you're trying to get the settlement from. Is Troy AFK?
Yeah, I mean, his camera's on. All I see is an empty chair.
Okay.
I don't know about Tice.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry,
he just
I was
came back.
taxed with finding something.
No worries.
So there's 2. Did I understand that right? There's 2 teams to choose from.
Yeah, one of them is just one guy, but he has already been paid for, but he was paid for basically by your opposition. He's not going to ask you guys for anything, but yeah, there might be conflict of interest there. The other team they're not as high profile, they're not famous, they're not expensive. Well, not as expensive, but what they want is they want a cut of your settlement. But they're not paid for by your opposition. It's a team of 4 guys instead of just the one super high-powered lawyer.
When we're talking about settlement, what does that mean?
So one of the Fraternity of Order lawyer tries to explain. He says, when a person has been wronged, often there are laws in place to award them a amount of money or property or some other thing to create some sort of fairness in the situation. He's interrupted by the Fated lawyer, says, it is the way of the universe that you get what you're owed. If somebody wrongs you, they owe you something for that. The laws are in place to take care of that, and we're here to help. Now, oftentimes, if it becomes very clear that you're going to be awarded a recompense or some amount of restitution, we can settle, meaning we can come to an agreement outside of the courts, and that agreement means that the opposing party will get something out of the settlement, but you'll generally get more than you would if you'd gone through the court case. In many circumstances, the opposition will simply get that they don't have on the records within the courts that they lost a case. That can be very valuable, particularly to a lawyer. However, I think because of the powers that are in play, they may ask for something a little more tangible.
Well, not only that, but also my guy that I brought in is effectively humiliating the guy.
Oh yes,
That's
quite.
the
He's
other.
clucking like a chicken.
And so now, not only is he paid off by the opposition, but he's probably not very happy.
Wait, who's clucking like a chicken?
The high-powered attorney that lured you into his office when you first arrived.
Okay. So on one side we weren't giving part of the settlement, and one side we were.
Yeah, the high-profile attorney with the conflict of interest is not asking for a portion of whatever settlement you win. He's already been paid for. He's been paid for by the Beata.
Got it.
He does have his own professional ethic to consider. He's not like necessarily going to turn traitor on you, but he does have a conflict of interest. The other team are they're not as high profile, but they're a scrappy team of go-getters, and all they're asking for, they're not asking for anything up front. Of course, this other guy's already not asking for anything up front either, but they are asking for a portion of your winnings from the court case.
I suppose our concern would be that in the winnings of this, it would be our land back. Which, does that mean they would get control over our land?
Not
in the way that the Beata
necessarily, but it depends on how things are interpreted. There are some complicated reasons why they might not be able to get control of your land due to rules that the factions have passed governing the non-interference on Prime Worlds. There was apparently some problems. You sort of gathered from what you've heard the various people talking about that there were some problems a few years back where some people were trying to save a Prime World from itself, and they just made the problem worse. And the resulting destruction ended up causing a lot of damage in Sigil itself. I believe the phrase often thrown about by the newspaper columns is, the hand of Kronos grabbed Sigil and shook its foundations.
Got it. So my limited understanding of all this would boil down to I think the Beata are the problem. So someone associated with them would also be bad. So any other option would be better.
Mara agrees. She was heavily traumatized by the experience of watching her friends get slaughtered. So, yeah.
So even if I don't really understand how people work out here, and that these people will do what they're honor bound to do, they're being paid by the people that we're trying to get rid of. Like that doesn't make sense, even if they're the right people to go with. Like, we simply don't trust them. And then I'll lend to our party and be like, do you think going with the other people would be to our benefit?
Well, I've effectively already paid the other people, so I mean, I'm for them. I mean, they are taking a cut also, but yeah.
I mean, them being paid for and also asking for more money.
Well, it's because he created a team, dude. Chaos attack stuff. That's all I can say.
I see. You paid for one individual of the group.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh,
that being said, you still aren't a Beata and paying.
Already. Well, but that and when I paid him, he already let me know that we are somewhat already deep in doo-doo that we don't know about with that other guy. So yeah, it's probably not a good idea to go with that other guy. I mean, he's a lawyer. He should know.
I see. And the gentleman we were currently speaking to is clucking like a chicken.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as far as I know, he may never stop doing that. Which
yeah, he might keep doing that. Yeah.
It does sometimes take a while.
This is a normal thing.
It's a chaos attack thing.
Yeah, yes, kind of.
One of the abilities of my faction is to comprehend languages. One of the abilities of the Chaos Tech faction is the other thing.
I can do that too. I just haven't had a reason. But yeah, so it seems pretty straightforward. You know, we either completely get screwed 100%, or we basically roll the dice. Those are the two options.
There's the devil that you know, and whatever this C team that Sly and I has thrown together can do.
Well,
We're going to call them nice guys.
Nice guys.
Yeah.
I believe the nice guys might have something.
Alrighty.
I don't think we have any objections with going with that side.
Yeah.
So they take you out into the Hall of Records, and they go find a quiet place that they spend a little money out of their own pocket to rent out a conference room for a bit, and sit you guys down to talk about the case. They need to be brought up to speed on exactly what's going on, because as far as they know, Sly and I just grabbed them randomly as he was walking through halls. That's been their experience so far. Yeah. But yeah, now they're in this. Naya's actually missing now. Suddenly, he's nowhere to be seen. But the other three are still there.
I'm sure he's around.
They listen to your descriptions of what's going on, and then they sort of think about things, discuss things in low whispers. Turn to say, "What do you guys want to get out of this situation?" As our clients, what's your end game? What would you like us to get for you? Best case scenario.
If the Beatazu are engaged in the illegal occupation of a prime world, then that must be stopped, or I must understand what loophole they are using to get around the rules that prevent such things from happening. Also, my name should be exonerated from this, but I don't think that's going to be a major issue, being that I didn't do anything, and then I pull out basically a stack of scrolls and say, and I have extensive documentation about my whereabouts and comings and going.
The Fraternity of Order lawyer looks at your documents and smiles and nods very approvingly. The the dustman shrugs, and the faded guy kind of hands on his face, like, "All right, well that's something to go with."
Also, my party was personally wronged by a particular pit lord, and I would like that pit lord put into servitude to us.
Everyone's always trying to get a pit lord.
It's like I just want to accomplish that dream.
This could be the time.
Because it's always gone so well all the other times, right?
Well, yeah.
Yes. And the only thing that I wish for from this is to actually get my actual internship done and actually become a fully fledged blank. I don't know what the word is for it.
Mara's been thinking quietly to herself, and she says, "I think what I want is to understand why they're there. It seems to me that they don't do things randomly. They don't just pick a place and go because they feel like it. I think they have some agenda in our world, and I think if we can understand what that agenda is, then we'll be really better prepared to stop it. I think that's what I want."
To stop them or stop? Stop what?
whatever their agenda is, whatever their
Oh.
reason for being in our world. It can't be good.
Yeah, if we can prove whatever their agenda is, won't, because of the current accords, like, won't they be handled accordingly anyway? With like the don't invade prime worlds thing, won't they be like punished or dealt with or whatever?
The lawyers kind of shake their head and go, actually, they're a separate political entity. So the laws of Sigil don't really apply to them, but they could be barred from the city. And that would be the sort of worst case scenario for the Beatazoo, is to no longer be able to do business within the city.
That would be a devastating blow. Like, that's cutting off a whole lot of stuff.
They'd have to
from
go through
anybody.
middlemen to sell Batorian green steel, so that would create a whole loss in their income. But more than that, they wouldn't be able to set up their temples. They wouldn't be able to tempt mortals. They'd lose access to a lot of resources.
Yeah, there you go.
As well as access to a lot of information, which is the most valuable commodity in the entirety of the planes.
So basically, if we can corner them into that kind of a scenario where it's either that worst case scenario for them or get off of that one planet, they're probably going to get off of that one planet.
That's always the hope. And where it will become challenging is when they start trying to make weird arguments. They're good at finding loopholes. My hope is that we're better.
Well, here's hoping.
Mara says, well, I don't think you need me, as my testimony is no different from my companions. I'd like to start researching what they know about our world. And if this is the Hall of Records, then this would have been where they got their information. And so she's going to go out and apply for a job. She'll be out of the party for a bit, but she's going to do research here in the Hall of Records while also earning a living.
Yay.
Sounds good.
And so Mara joins, at least in name. She's become a namer of the Takers. All right, and we've been doing this for a little over 2 hours now. It's almost 11 o'clock, so I think I'm gonna call it here. But that's good. This is what I was hoping to get us to for the past month, I think.
Yay.
The legal intrigue of a complicated set of conflicting agendas. Something to sort of mull over as we go forward. The Beatazoo and the Tanari are not going to be working together in this court case. They will definitely be working against each other for their own agendas. They will probably be trying to fight each other. And using them against each other is going to be a major legal strategy that you guys can employ. While the lawyers will represent you guys in the case themselves, you guys will have, as players, opportunities to go out and get stuff to help them. So you can do little quests and adventures to help them get things that may help them to do well in that. You'll have to come up with what those things are and narrate them, and then I'll come up with little adventures to find whatever little tidbits might help your case. But that's what we're going to do with the next session, is we're going to be prepping to present evidence. And then I think at the end of next session, what we're going to do is we're going to have you guys finally give your full testimony to the courts. And then we're going to switch over to the Druids and catch up with what the Druid party has been doing.
Yay,
And so that, yeah.
Hey,
Max, you may not have a Druid character, but that's okay.
I have a druid.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, my guy has like ghost panthers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ghost Panther guy. That'll be the party that we do 2 weeks from now. So next week, more legal stuff, and then we're going to switch over to the Druids and catch up with their end of the story.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, so let's see here for points. I like to give one to Echelon for just always being like always having like just like all those papers on him. It's like we just get down to it. It's like here's this giant stack of papers of all the alibis I have and like all this other stuff, just in case. I like to give one to Max for just basically. I want you to take this stack and throw it off the cliff.
It's the most effective way to get around.
Yeah, and I like to give one to our local Prime for I don't remember.
I'm pretty boring in this world at the moment.
For being able to keep it cool and stuff in such a crazy place of not being in your prime world anymore. You're just like you're doing pretty well for being somewhere that's like you're finding out that you're like what's it like in the Men in Black? You're just a small walker.
I like the way the artist put it. It says, you've just discovered that your entire world is but a single grain of sand on a beach. Welcome to the ocean.
That is everyone.
I guess I'll go Ed for steering us in the right direction. Get all this started. Let's see. Tice, what you're oh yeah, for like helping everybody out on like the taxi ride up, so we didn't have to have everybody with like undue tax. Yeah, Kite for having to wrap your mind around like ridiculous scenarios. Like, wait, we're fighting demons in court, or okay, like what? Aren't all these options bad? Like, I think that's everybody.
Which option is the least bad? I've now learned that. That's a thing as I ask questions. Let's see. Max for causing a knife fight, trying to get more travel. It was better than I did like the throwing off the cliff, but I think you won with that one. Tice for what's the name of the entropy person? Fractal Riss.
Yep.
I feel like it was like snuck in there and we kind of like glossed over it, but I'm pretty sure you tried to strike a deal with Riss at some point. Like you verbally made a communication that you wanted to like strike a deal, and it just was kind of like you never stop. And then Ed for there's a lot of you guiding us around, but it's you know how to talk to people, the different people, and that is proving super easy. Like your speaking my language was said a couple of times, I think, in the session.
I am a lawyer.
Which you're doing that very well.
Yeah, so to Max for getting back to the party by being dropped in a bag on a guy being dragged to his trial. That was excellent. Tice for attempting to make deals with basically everyone that we found, and also for rolling non-garbage. I'm really not very good at that right now, but you're pretty good at kind of getting us places and getting us money and stuff like that. Troy for being an adorable prime and following us around, doing an excellent job at being an adorable prime. So
Yeah, see, Distant keeps thinking that I'm just using the bag to like get out of scenarios. Wait, he forgets like no, that is just literally my mode of travel. Like,
I'm looking forward to coming up with more creative ways of getting your bag from one place to another.
I keep waiting. I know it's going to happen eventually. It's going to be like it's not quite so convenient this time around. And like I know it's going to happen, and I'm making scenarios in my head for such events.
I'm just gonna be wait for when we're on a chaos world and like one of us gonna have to like roll bigger and we're just gonna puke up a bag, just like.
All right. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.
Yep.